What's up, everyone? Juicy J, Jude Let's Chat, coming at you with Ice here and two special guests. We've got Casey from Work in Progress, and we've got Jaylen. Jaylen, what is the name of your um, streaming service? It's not Jaylen, is it?
No, it's not Jalen Fool.
I
It's you guys.
apologize.
You guys. You guys. You guys can call me Gamer Critic.
Gamer
You can follow
Critic.
me at Gamer Critic. You can follow me as the Gamer Critic on Instagram and on YouTube.
There we go. Gamer Critic. We'll throw another shout out at the end of this, and of course, details will be in the description below. And of course, Casey over here from Work in Progress. So, guys, how are y'all doing this evening? We're gonna start with Jaylen since I missed him. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, brother, I appreciate that, man.
I did.
Now to answer your question, I'm tired because I've been working since 9 a.m. But
Oh,
I have time to make this happen. So I'm gonna have fun. I'm meeting some new people here. This is gonna be cool.
it's pretty awesome. And Casey, how have you been? I haven't heard from you in forever.
Oh, way too much is going on. Like not within the entertainment world, just personal world, but so much has
Wow.
been going on. I am so glad that you asked me to come onto this because I'm a lover of video games and Xbox since that's the one system I can really use at the moment. But I am here to help out and see how people are feeling now.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, guys. And just like Casey just said, we're here for the second installment of the Platform Preferences Xbox Edition. I want to get these two guys in here because they are passionate about the Xbox. They love the system, they love the games. And so we just want to discuss some of the pros and the cons of it. I usually like to start off by seeing, what are your experience with it? What do you love about it? I want to start, of course, with Jaylen again, special guest here, and the first time we're having him on as one of our primary focuses. Man, what is it about the Xbox that just keeps you coming back? What is it about it that you love?
Well, first, before I even get into that, let me make something very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
I love all games. I do.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
and
yeah.
and I sincerely mean mean that. I am firmly in the belief of I will go and I will spend my time wherever I have the most fun with that game.
There we
Truly.
go.
I'll be on Xbox on 1 week, then PlayStation another, then 2 weeks I'll be on Nintendo Switch. I love games. But the thing that brings me back to Xbox, the reason why I will always have a special place in my heart for Xbox is I think better than any other company, it's really good at communicating with the community. I think it's a very community based system. Just look at Game Pass, look at cloud gaming, look at all of these like things that Xbox is currently doing to make sure that everyone has access to all these games from their consoles to their freaking phones. It's legitimately impressive to me. And um and the fact that Xbox has the single greatest deal in game. Let's be real. As much as I love games, I wouldn't be playing half of the games I would be playing if not for Game Pass. Game Pass is quite frankly the best deal in gaming, bar none. And I feel like that alone really needs to be appreciated.
There we go. There we go. So you like the fact they stay connected with the community, so you feel like there is some transparency there, and when you do play, it has some games that you do want to follow, And Game Pass is definitely something that gains your focus for it. And I like what you
Mhm.
started with as well because that is honestly the whole purpose of this whole series is guys, stop the fighting. It's based off preferences and preferences can change. They can change from day to day, week to week, year to year. And we shouldn't be locked into one system just because, well, I like Xbox. Go play PlayStation. There's going to be places to play certain exclusives. Go play Switch. You can't play pretty much any of the Mario stuff without a Switch. Go on to PC. But like I said, for these things, we just want to look at the ecosystem itself. And like you said, you put out two good points that I really like and I appreciate. Um, yeah, the Game Pass is a great thing and obviously a big seller for Xbox. But we can't also deny that they do try to talk with the community and keep connected with it, listen to the voices, and see what they can do. So I respect that, man. Anything else? Anything else that
Uh,
just butters your bread sometimes?
I really and here's one other thing. More than Nintendo Switch and PlayStation, I'd argue that Xbox, at least modern day Xbox, is really leading the charge for creativity in AAA studios. Like true creativity. Because in any other Sony or Nintendo studio, I don't think you would ever find a game like Pentiment coming from one of their big studios.
Hmm.
And Obsidian is known for their big grand RPGs, right? They're big, massive, go out and explore games. Xbox just like decided, hey, you have creative freedom. Make so make what you want to make. And so this guy, who was, I believe, a developer at Obsidian, decided to make his passion project. And that passion project was Pentiment. And we got so many more. We got Pentiment, we got freaking Hi-Fi Rush, which was also a passion project. Um, we got, oh, what's the freaking Immortality?
Yeah.
Immortality.
Yeah.
That is a
Mhm.
good, and the list goes on and on. I feel like indie games are really catching a bigger focus on Xbox than most other studios right now. Excuse me, other
No, no.
companies.
It's all,
You
hey,
know,
I like it. Go
hey,
ahead. Sorry.
no, no, I'll say a fun fact about Pentiment's the fact. Do you know what it's rated at? Like what its rating is on Steam or IGN
No, wait. Well,
No,
I know
what?
IGN gave it like a something high. I think it was like a 9, right?
or Steam and IGN? They both rated it a 10 out of 10.
God
What?
damn. I
Wow.
Pentiment?
listen, listen. I'm not even shocked by that because that
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, admittedly, I haven't played the game. Now I kind of like if that high of a I mean, it's something not brought up too much. You know, it's something I haven't gotten around to playing. I guess I need to go try it. Gonna have to put down Skull for a bit. But okay. Okay. Well, Casey, I kind of want to shift over to you now, buddy. What is it about the Xbox that you love? What really, puts the icing on the cake for you?
Oh my gosh. See, now you're going over to me after this whole thing. To me, it's more emotion based. All right. I remember when I was heading off to college and everything like that. I had an Xbox. My dad just got his own Xbox, and we got Connects, and that was the way that we actually communicated, was through the Xbox system, and that's how I talked to my family.
Hmm.
Um, so it's mainly more of an emotion of like why I do like Microsoft. I remember my friends coming over and us literally like putting together my friend's Xbox into our TV so that way all of us can play a group game of Call of Duty, which my dad would sit there and he would watch us. And then one day I come home to find an Xbox and all of these like accessories. And I think it was like during the Xbox 360, Xbox One era. So I see one of these like brand new systems with all the accessories that my dad bought for himself, of course. And that just kind of like that's where I kind of go with. It's like I have been raised as mainly Nintendo. I've had a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. The one thing with them is mainly it did feel more like a mobile adventure. Like you can just walk out and you have your Game Boy. PlayStation is more of like the RPGs, whereas like Xbox, it's more of the games that you can just sit down with everybody and have fun at the time.
Okay. So you like the more party based things, which of course was a huge thing for Xbox back in the day, and it also
Mhm.
seems like nowadays it seems to be gravitating more towards that again. It's a great system to want to play with your friends on, and you can do it, of course, with any system. You can do it on
Yeah,
PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo pushes party games. But I will say, when it was a comparison of Sony and Microsoft back in the day, Sony had the good looking games and RPGs and stuff like that, and Xbox had the stable party system and like really fun co op and competitive games, all in a friendly nature. And so
exactly.
I see what you're
Um,
saying with it.
yeah, Nintendo had the family games.
Hmm.
Sony had the story-driven games,
Oh
and
yeah.
And we
Microsoft had the adult co-op games like the shooters and stuff like that.
You were saying so?
exact.
Yeah. Sorry. You agree, Jalen?
Oh, I think he muted himself.
It
Oh
did.
no.
But I mean, not to
I
even
mean, I agree with them. I agree with them.
yeah, and that's even not even going against the fact that we did have some pretty good RPGs on Xbox. I mean, I still love Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That's still one of the best RPGs that I have played.
Joker is really, really fun, and it is
Mhm.
on Game Pass. Um,
Exactly.
don't
I
know if
mean,
you know
I
or not,
definitely
Jalen, but you
don't disagree
are
on that.
are muted. Sorry about that, Casey. Just wanted to
Oh,
make
you're
sure
fine.
he's. Um, but yeah, so those are a lot of positives. I think they're great things, and like we're saying here, it's not that you don't get those from other systems. It's just what feels like home to this system,
Exactly.
is what it's sounding like to me. So here's my question. What do you think some detriments are? What do you think some cons to the side is? What are some things that sours your dough a little too much?
At least for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that story. Like, I mean, we have been giving it a little bit, but it's from games that are on different platforms. I
Mm.
mean, like Skyrim and things like that. Like, I can feel it. I was feeling the Dragon Age, but there's nothing specific for Microsoft in that department.
Okay.
Um, the last time I do know is like it was one of the RPGs that came out when Xbox came out. You're like an immortal and stuff like that. I can't even remember the name of it. I think it's like something Infinity or something. But no, you basically played as a group of immortals. And as long as you keep one character alive, it's not game over because they're all immortal and eventually they come back to life. But
Oh
that one I do
gosh.
remember. This came out like right when Xbox first came out. It was one of the RPGs that came out with Xbox.
Was it by Square Enix?
I think so. It seems like it.
Infinite on Discovery?
That might be it.
Let me check.
That one was pretty interesting. And the
Okay.
combat and how to deal with death was interesting because most of the characters in your party you actually fought with, I believe, a party of 6, if I remember correctly. And you can change it between immortals and mortals.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so
dope.
like it really depended on how you played the game. And you can literally last long periods of time. But like I remember that. I remembered it
Okay.
was actually a pretty good story. But we
Yeah.
really didn't have anything after that that was not meant for other systems as well.
That's fair. I mean, they of course had their titles in Gears and and Halo and stuff like that that had story modes, but the campaigns weren't the reason to play those games. The central focus was to play with your
Exactly.
friends, go online. Of course, Halo and
Yep.
how it blew up in many
Mhm.
scenes, including church scenes.
I mean,
Versus,
I guess you could kind of say Xbox. The thing with about that, one of the characteristics Xbox has is everything's fast paced.
hmm
Mhm.
Like every game you play has a fast pace to it. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not good, but you know how with some Nintendo games or even mainly Sony games that are real big on the JRPGs that like to pace themselves. You know you're in it for a long run.
Mhm.
Whereas with Xbox, you know you're getting like a good 10, maybe solid 15-hour adventure.
Oh
and then
yeah.
it's on to the next one.
Well, Xbox is literally basically the action movies of our time
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah,
That's literally all it is. That like
to the Fast
there
and
is
Furious.
there is
Fast and
story to it,
Furious.
but very little. It's mainly just action.
Yeah,
Whereas like Sony is the drama and Nintendo is once again the family friendly stuff.
yep.
So they don't have too many story based or story driven games for the Xbox. So if you're looking for that, from what I'm hearing from you, like if you're looking for that, that's probably not the route you're going to go.
Mhm.
And obviously, the most glaring issues nowadays, we'll keep pressing on. Hopefully, we can get Jaylen back in here with the voice chat if he's doing all right. But obviously, one of the biggest issues with Xbox right now is the failure to deliver any of their first party or exclusive titles,
Mhm.
which seems to be I mean, it seems to be it is. It's a central focus within gaming communities. A PC, of course, kind of usurps that by being like, hey, you can play anything on it or virtually anything on it. But when it comes down to the consoles themselves, Nintendo has their own um, system ecosystem, if you will, of games. Ranging from Zelda, Mario, um, Smash Brothers, Metroid, different things like that. And of course, PlayStation has interactive, cinematic, story-driven games such as God of War Ragnarok, the Horizon series, Last of Us, obviously, Spider-Man coming out, all these awesome things. And for Xbox, we don't have too many titles that just kind of jump out and grab you. No, certainly nothing that has come out really big in the recent years. Up until this year, of course, we're rolling out with things like Hi-Fi Rush. And given how late we've had to do the recording, obviously we found out for DLC for that, which I'm excited for. Um, but then we also had a little bit of a stumble with Redfall and stuff like that. So when that happened, everybody's kind of shifted back to, hey, it's gonna be the same as every year. So when it comes to, if you're looking for the exclusives, some type of, this is Xbox driven, this is Xbox's, game and ecosystem, what are we going for? When it comes to looking for those type of games, Xbox doesn't really specialize in that right now. What they do specialize is in bringing a bunch of games and trying to put them on a different platforms, obviously with Game Pass and all this accessibility, and trying to reach out to many different titles and making contracts with first, second, and third party sources to try and get everything to you. But if what you're looking for is an exclusivity, something like that says this is Xbox, that's a little harder to find sometimes, especially
Well,
nothing in the last few years. Go ahead, Ice.
yeah. No, well, one thing I'll add
Hmm.
outside of that is like a positive for them right now. I know we kind of moved off on the
No,
positive, but
no,
kind
no.
of want
I
to go
mean, we
back to
can.
that
Yeah.
in regards to this. So the 360 was an amazing console, right? I think we can all agree on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the best Xbox console, my humble opinion. Um, they had games, right? And then when
Hmm.
they went to the one, they cut off their supply the same way Nintendo did when they made the Wii and then the Wii U, right?
Mhm.
But w- unlike Nintendo, Nintendo has all their heavy hitters to where they're able to bounce back real quick. One thing I do like about Xbox, what they're doing right now, and I mentioned this to Juice, and I'll touch more on it when we talk about the showcase, is you can see even though they've stumbled, you can see that they're trying in regards to getting those story-based games, a
Hmm.
la Persona,
Mhm.
like what Sony did with Square Enix. I feel Xbox is doing with Sega, and I feel if they could kind of build relationships like that along, like moving forward. I'm not saying they'll be up there with Sony with story-based games, but I feel like they'll be in a better situation than
I
they
could
find
see
themselves
that.
now.
I could see
Mhm.
that. It is a little different. The dynamic between Square Enix and Sony is actually a pretty beautiful story. Maybe it's something we can go over at one point, but I don't think anything will ever compare to the camaraderie, more than just a business partnership that those two have seemed to have over the years in support of each other. Um, which is awesome. That obviously has flourished into something that's amazing for their system and everything like that. But Xbox is certainly trying to make whatever deals they can to bring better titles to their system. Um, and of course, trying to set up different other methods of getting the games. I mean, it all kind of centers around the Game Pass, which is honestly the iconic thing for Xbox right now. Is the fact that not only are they trying to put day one titles on the Game Pass, they try to get everything, they try to get top 20 games within whatever genre they're going for. There's like at least like 7 different roguelikes on this, and I like roguelikes. Um, they've got different things of all categories you can just jump onto. Obviously, we are behind on it, but we like to do the Wheel of Game Pass. There's so much to play. There's so many things they bring to the table for us to try and enjoy that we're just letting the surprise me function on the PC version of the Xbox Game Pass pick a game for both of us so we can try it out. So there are positives to it. A negative, of course, that focusing so much on the Game Pass does take some focus away from bringing out these other game titles. We've seen that in a couple of I guess stumbles you could call it, like for instance Redfall, where they said, hey, we didn't allocate our resources correctly, because they are spreading themselves out that far. And that's they are trying to change that up, obviously, but that is still right now something that they stumbled at. So everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens after that. And if there was another detriment that I would give to it, um, in terms of this versus everything else, hmm, I think when it comes down to playing the Xbox and playing the games they've got, if you're looking for this quality gaming aesthetic, and that seems to be a focus right now with the frames per second and things like that, they haven't been meeting that quality that they pushed for, that was supposed to come with this Gen 9 stuff, which of course kind of pushes into the, are you looking for that solo driven, interactive, immersive, amazing looking thing, which we would push more towards Sony. But I would say that if that is something that's important to you, it's hard for me to fight for one week, because y'all know my stance on like frames per second. To me, I always advocate is like there is not much difference to my eye. I could just not have the gamer eye, guys. But my thing is, I feel like things are just fine in one way or the other. But be that as it may, Gen 9 was supposed to usher in a time of 60 frames per second. Really, I was watching something earlier where the first statement in 2020 was 120 frames per second, for the Xbox, and they haven't quite gotten there yet on a stable push.
Mhm.
And
I
so if
was
that is something that's important to you, it's probably going to be an issue, if you try to come and play on it.
That
I will
Go
would
ahead.
say
that. Oh, go
I,
ahead,
I,
Ice.
I will say that goes. That's not just an Xbox thing. That's just like some Sony games struggle to run 60 as well. I feel like that's more of even though it's what year 3 of the consoles. I feel
Mm.
like because there was such like a shortage, so and they're still focused on making last gen games. They're not fully how do I say? They don't know how to use the full capabilities of it. And
Mm.
like for instance, like an example I want to put out there in regards to that would be Tears of the Kingdom,
Okay.
where Breath of the Wild and earlier Switch games kind of they played pretty solid, but they kind of stuttered here and there, right? Whereas Tears of the Kingdom, which basically is built from the foundation of Breath of the Wild, it's still the same Switch, but they were able to polish that out more than they did with Breath of the Wild with Tears of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's one of those things where I don't think they really scratched the surface of how powerful the PS5 and Series X can actually be.
Well,
I
and
think they're
so
still in a
go ahead.
learning phase still.
Mhm.
We're definitely COVID changed a lot of things for that. I guess that would be its own topic, kind of straying away from it. But Sony does seem to have stable frame rate especially hitting up to the 60 frames per second on first party titles. Second and third party titles get a little harder, but when it is created within their ecosystem for their ecosystem, and I'm using ecosystem, that's a phrase that Xbox uses a lot, but let's be fair. I mean, this is what it is for these platforms. And for their first party titles, they have that stability. So, and on the flip side of it, Xbox isn't seeming to hit those same standards just yet. And if that's an issue, if that's something that's very important to you as a gamer, then the Xbox may not be like what you're wanting to play on. Because I mean, I know some friends personally who get a little nettled if it's not 60 frames per second. They do primarily play on PC, but it's still, it's important to them. So I would be hard pressed to see them playing on an Xbox. Um, it would be a detriment if that's something you focus on, and gamers are focusing a lot on that nowadays. So I
That,
figure just toss it out there.
that I definitely do kind of agree with. I mean, every video game company has had trouble with, making promises that they cannot keep to the fandom. The one thing I can state, especially when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, is they are consistently making promises that they are not keeping.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily to say anything against them, because if I do look at things in kind of an objective point of view, they're battling on two fronts. Unlike Sony and Nintendo, who they only have to focus on their one system, and possibly where their titles might go out other than their one system, Microsoft has two systems. They have the PC side and the Xbox side. That is literally just because Microsoft runs both of them. So unlike Sony and Nintendo, they're not separating that attention as well.
Okay. No, I mean that's fair. That's definitely a bonus to Sony and Nintendo and stuff. Their stuff is going to run fantastically because they only focus at one, and Microsoft does spread themselves a little thinner.
Mhm.
And
Um,
they have terrible management.
well, I
Yeah,
will
that
say
too.
that now that and to touch back onto it, I guess it's where, like I said, we're on detriments, and it is the thing is that, like, if you are one to follow the news and the statements from the upper management, including as high up as Phil Spence, you're gonna hear words at the beginning of the year, and it's been a running theme that at least 50% of what's said gets apologized for at the end. And I mean, I mean, to me, I equate it to being a Cowboys fan. It's our year, our year. Then you get to game 15, you're like, maybe next year, guys. Like we drop the ball somewhere. So that happens a lot. But that's again, Jaylen, are you back with us? Tell me you're
Yes.
He's
still here.
back.
Yes, there he
Oh
is.
yay!
I've missed you.
Sorry,
We've
guys.
just been
I was
we've just
down.
been
I'm
filibustering,
back.
really. No, man, I don't know if you've heard any of what we've been talking about. I can do a shorthand if you need us to.
No, sorry. I heard plenty.
And now he's here to be like, "You're all fools. You're not understanding."
So I want to say something about Mr. Good or Mr. Mood here. Mr. Critical Gamer, right? Or
Sure.
game
Gamer
GamerCritic.
critic.
Gamer
Mood.
GamerCritic.
Critic. Sorry, Gamer Critic. There we go. Gamer Critic. Uh, one one thing. Were you the one that hopped into Brent's podcast and just started shitting on Metal Gear?
Well, this can no longer be a children's broadcast, but yeah, can continue.
But actually, no, I don't think that. I know what that might have been me. Yeah, that might.
I won't confirm or deny if that was me who jumped in.
Because talking about how that Metal Gear collection is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
I
That was.
like
I'm
I
sorry. I'm
loathe
sorry.
it. I loved his jump in. Like when you finally came into the talk, you're like, that was trash. Y'all had a defined showcase to me because I was like, guys, it wasn't that bad, and everybody, including Brent, was like, that it was, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just an
dude,
idealist.
dude, I was lifting weights, and then I just hear this guy come in, just going ham, and I just busted out laughing. I almost died.
Hey, brother, I
Hey,
appreciate.
but
Hey, that
we're
means
not.
I'm doing something right.
We're not
Oh yeah.
here
Oh yeah.
for that, and that's not what it's meant to be. Although we have done a lot of comparisons to the others, because that's for the consoles. That's what we have to do, you know. But we were trying to
Right.
keep
Right.
as
Right.
objective. These are the points. Jalen, do you agree or disagree with some of the things we've talked about? I've missed you, so I need to hear you.
Yes, yes, I do. I do think every console has its give and take. I
Mhm.
do think consoles are in this weird stage where because of COVID, they had to be cutting some corners. And I don't think either the Series X or the PlayStation 5 have really reached their full potential. But then again, I don't think any big console really reaches their full potential until the end of its life until the end of its lifespan. And now that we're about what is this year 3, 4 of the ninth gen?
Yeah, pushing 3.5, I
Yep.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are almost at the halfway point. So I feel like once developers start getting a better idea of the hardware, we're gonna be getting more of that 4K 60 promise that these consoles were giving us. Now,
He agrees with me.
yes, I
Yeah, yeah.
yes, but I will say this about Xbox to play devil's advocate. As much as I love all the consoles, all the companies, I will also call those companies out on their bullshit. And I think out of all the companies, Xbox is doing the worst at making these big, bold promises that they are just not keeping.
Yeah.
Like, because my shoot, my buddy Brent, who constantly shits on Xbox every chance that he gets, and rightfully so, because Xbox
But
does make a lot
keeping them
of
honest, keeping them honest, you know.
it's listen, I'm not going to talk about it because it's true. A lot of the stuff that he points out, I can't even defend because it's true. That's a bad choice on Xbox. But every
Mm.
time, well, mostly every time, but a lot of times when he sees a game that says, oh, 30 FPS. He brings back the old tweet that I think was either Spencer or one of the other
Aaron
Xbox
Greenberg.
had said that promised the 60 FPS was the priority.
Well, yeah. The statement was, and I believe it's Aaron Greenberg, is it? But where he came out and said 60 frames per second is the standard for Gen 9. And I
Exactly.
mean, when you make a statement like that and without, and I've told him this before, like, if you make a statement like that with no, no retort after years of failing, if you don't come back and say, hey, I know what we said, and I'm sorry, I guess I'm not, I wasn't correct, when you don't address your false statements, they just sit there and they marinate, they fester,
Exactly. And
that's yeah.
Mhm.
And
it would be one thing if you apologize, but if you don't apologize, it just festers. So people
mhm.
start getting more and more annoyed and like frustrated. Now, me personally, 30
Yeah.
frames per second doesn't bother me. It doesn't. Look at Tears of the Kingdom and Plague Tale Requiem. Two fantastic games that both ran at 30
Yeah.
FPS and are both some of the best in their respective genres, right? Look at
Fair.
Starfield. Starfield looks incredible. Incredible. And the fact that it's locked at 30 FPS, but it's gonna hold a 1440p 4K graphical output. I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
Okay.
No, that's fair. From a personal standpoint, and like I said that for the 30 frames per second. So to me, it's like it's cool with me one way or the other. However, that is a focus based off statements from previous and just where the gaming community has moved to, since consoles are now being compared to PCs. So, like I said, if you're someone who really focuses that and that is something that's very important to you, Xbox may not be it right now. They've got awesome games, but you can probably
You
play
know.
them. I mean, all of them. I think you can play on the PC, and which
You
can push the
know.
60 frames. Go ahead, buddy.
Most of them.
You know what could cure Xbox? I know if they did this one thing, all things would be right again.
What's
You know what
that?
that is? Let's just get rid of 343. Let's just get rid of them.
Okay, no, that's just your
Oh,
personal vendetta. We're not here for
that
personal vendetta.
let's take it
Platform,
there.
platform
You don't that
preferences.
I'm
Oh,
saying they get rid of them, the platform will be phenomenal.
ta-da.
dog, man. Get rid of the management at Xbox. I stand by that. I stand by
Yeah,
that.
that's
I feel like all the issues that are happening with Xbox is not because of the companies. The companies themselves are putting out good stuff, just smaller stuff, indies and double A. The issue are the higher ups. They either need to
Oh yeah.
leave or they need to make some very big changes.
I tell you, this was platform preferences. I'm gonna make sure to put that turned into an Xbox vent session. But I get it. I get it. Like we play on it. We have to. You got to eat the crow because they really don't.
I
Let's be
like Crow.
Phil Spencer comes out talking like the BP oil spokesman from South Park. We're sorry. As he just fanned himself with money playing on a PS5. Sorry, it's like, mm.
To
But
be
but no,
honest,
No.
so we're gonna reel it back to this is platform preferences for Xbox, and I love it though, guys, because it's true. So to recap, towards the end here, and wrapping up, we've got an ecosystem that gives you the Game Pass. It's shining star right now. We've got a
Absolutely.
game that permits that community-based feeling. You're going to hear from the management. You're going to be able to talk to your friends. Got a stable party system.
I forgot to add one more thing. One more
Oh,
thing to that.
what's up? What's
One
up?
more thing. Just
What's
one
up?
thing. Not negative. Not negative. Um,
It can be.
one
It
thing
don't
that
matter.
Xbox does, one thing that they do that I don't think PS5 really does. I mean, they kind of do with their subscription service, and same with Nintendo with their subscription service.
So
But I
they
like
both
that, huh?
so they both do it.
They both do it. But one thing that Xbox does, which doesn't require a subscription service, is you can play backwards compatible games.
That is an excellent
Well, there you
point.
go.
Point.
mhm.
Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
I want to throw that out there too. Yeah.
I give them a
yeah.
lot of credit to the fact that I can go back and play the original Fable, the original three Fables without any hassle or subscription, except for like 14.99 is a godsend. Truly.
But
Yeah,
it does depend on the game, though.
yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
games are not backwards compatible. Me and my nephew found that out this weekend because he wanted to play
No.
a game.
Yeah, no, I'll never be able to play Steel Battalion
The
on a
game wasn't
Series
worthy
X.
then.
I'm not giving you sympathy, man.
It's not there, man.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you dipped into a huge jar of white marbles and you grab the one yellow one. It's like
That
we're sorry. Like I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But
backlog like 75 plus 360 original Xbox games, and you chose to go for the one game that isn't gonna be there, dog.
You know
bro,
what's crazy is like me and my cousin played Army of Two backwards compatible, and I didn't think that would be one of the games that made it through.
mm-hmm.
That game's phenomenal. But yeah,
I
backwards
know, I know.
compatibility, bro. Like,
Yeah,
dude, bring that back for PlayStation.
Good
I'm
Like,
just
point.
saying, man.
what y'all doing?
But
You
for
know?
for it right now, it's another preference for the platform. I love it. And like I said, these are the good points to it, and negative points to it. Of course, like I said, they're not really producing like AAA awesome titles right now. They do have them in the future. They've shown some great things, but as of right now, it's few and far between. While they
But I
do
will
talk
give
with their
I feel like
okay,
2024, I feel like 2023 and forward is looking bright. If they
I'll tell you.
finally end up hitting the dates that they're trying to and committing to what they are saying, 2024 especially is looking very bright.
I tell you.
Mhm.
Now, another end of it, where they are talking with the community and they talk with you, on the other end of it, they do make promises they usually have to apologize for at the end of the year. So if you're someone who really weighs on what they're saying, you're really excited for things coming out, sometimes you got to temper your expectations. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Um,
At this point,
so,
I kind of treat Xbox like how I treat Back to the Future. You know, they show us what the future is supposed to be, and it's not. It's just not.
and then last but not least, of
Like,
course, is the 60 frames per second to 30 frames per second. Obviously, a big deal right now with Starfield coming out and locked at 60 frames per second. And if that is something that is important to you, it may not be for you. That may not be your preference.
Mhm.
So, Ice, you seem like you want to say one more thing, so we'll do wrap up closing statements. Ice, we'll start with you, buddy.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Back to the Future is one of the biggest scam movies of all time, and I respect them for it.
Oh, hot take. Maybe another recording. All
I
right.
know, right?
Golly.
DLC
Dude,
ver
dude,
DLC.
they made the same movie with the same script 3 times and just changed the scenery. I won't hear no.
Oh, we can talk about many movies that do the same
Oh, that
thing,
would be
but let's go
beautiful.
ahead and continue on.
We'll go with you next, Casey. Casey, any final thoughts for it?
Honestly, I do love Xbox reaching in. They're doing roguelites. They're bringing a lot of indie games into the public light. That's how I've played a lot of my games. That's how I've loved some of my games like Slime Rancher. They do have their moments like with every company where just like they fail to give what they promise.
Nada.
And
Yeah.
that's about it. It's like they're just a company like everybody else, and that's kind of how I treat them. I treat them with what I want, and if it's not what I want, oh well.
That's fair. And Jaylen, the best for last. Any parting words for our listeners and viewers?
Look, guys, can't we all just get along? I mean, this is 2023. This console war bull crap between Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, it's gotta end. Both
Hmm.
have their pros, both have their cons, but at the end of the day, we're all just looking for good games, right? And also at the end of the day, it ain't that serious. So just go play your games. It doesn't matter where you play them. Just go and have fun. If
I'm
more
telling you.
people started to realize that, I believe this little community that's growing would be so much better. So much.
Hey, preach to it, man. That's the purpose for this, guys. Thank y'all for joining with us. You heard it here. You heard it from Jaylen, guys. Just go play what you want. Just get along out here. We all just like what we like, and we're going to. If it's your opinion,
Before we
share
leave,
it.
man,
If you go ahead.
um, are we ever going to do a preference for PlayStation and Nintendo?
That's actually coming up next. I've got two guests coming up with that I've already got. And at the end of everything, I want to bring all the guests together when we can all just talk about, just pick your preference. And something you brought up in this one that I really want to push, especially towards the last one, is you don't just have to pick just one, guys. Like Neapolitan ice cream, we can have multiple flavors.
No,
Go do
it
what you
must
can
be
do.
one.
No, I
Only
mean,
So
one can rule them
yeah.
all.
Wait, I just want to add one random. This has nothing to do with anything. But did y'all know McDonald's released a Game Boy Color game the other day?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What does that have to do with anything?
no,
It does it.
you know
I'm
what
Does
that
just
has
like,
to do?
it just came to my mind. I'm like, those crazy
Just
sons
gonna
of just
just
did
gonna
it.
toss it in here at the end. Guys, thank y'all for showing up for this. Obviously it got kind of lengthy, but you love it. Again, uh we got Jaylen here, the GamerCritic, correct? On
Yep,
Instagram and go ahead.
that is the Gamer Critic on Instagram and YouTube. That's really all I got. Okay, yeah.
Gotcha,
Thank
gotcha. And of course, Audie Froggy, where can we find you?
You guys can totally find us. We're usually doing things sometimes with Juicy over here at Slow Work in Progress, SLOWIP on YouTube.
Awesome,
Check us
awesome.
out. We love having you guys around.
Obviously, if you're here, then you know of us. We're Do Let's Chat. And if you're not subscribed, it hurts my feelings deeply, okay? Very deeply. So please jump onto our channel, subscribe, like, comment, let us know where we're wrong, where we're right. You can start taking shots at Ice for always wearing tight shirts. It kind of annoys me too. Other than that, you can kind of find us at Do
Catch
Let's
me on
Chat.
Street Fighter, bro.
Bro, you want these hands? Because you don't. You really don't.
Catch me on
You're
Street Fighter,
playing
bro.
these games against these kids. You ain't ready.
Hey, bro.
Okay?
Yeah, just give 'em time and day, baby. Let's go.
Guys, thank you for being here. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay beautiful.